first SAA flight is taking off this morning around 8 a.m., more than 555 days since the national carrier was actually grounded. Now, the airline went through a tumultuous 2 years, having it gone through business rescue, pilot strikes, and, of course, being hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Ahmed Kajee is our reporter on the story. He's live to us now from Tambo International Airport this morning. And already some movement where you're at, Ahmed, and that's in part because other airlines have been going on with their business for quite some time. As a start, 555 days since this airline, SAA that is, has taken to the skies. How did we get here?
Good morning, Ayanda. As you mentioned, business rescue practitioners coming into the fore. We're also looking at pilot strikes. And unfortunately, across the aviation sector, the COVID-19 pandemic having grounded flights from March of last year. That's one of the main reasons, South African Airways have been grounded. But the main point that we need to drive home right now is the fact that operations at the airline had been suspended in September last year due to just financial irregularities and, just not with the airline not being profitable. So at the time, that's what we had seen then in September last year. And, we had seen then pilot strikes also taking place at the time. That was earlier in May 2020, and that's just because the restructuring and the Section 189 processes and notices which they had received wasn't something that they were happy about in their understanding. They mentioned that those terms were just unfair on that front. And then just speaking towards exactly what they then had come to agreements with the business rescue practitioners, during the restructuring they had mentioned that, they would end up being retrenched, and that the pilots would go from about 400 down to around 89 or 90 pilots or so, and they would be retained on a seniority and race-based spectrum. So on that front, pilot retention has taken place. Let's just keep in context that South African Airways had about 4,000 staff prior to business rescue practitioners and the financial crisis that it had went to in December 2019. They're now sitting with just over 1,000 or just under 1,000 staff members across the entire South African Airways staff contingent. But behind me, you will see preparations are being touched on that front with regards to SA Airways. You will see passengers joining the queues now as they start to prepare to get checked in, to check in their luggage, and then to also just get things going. There will be a small ceremony from South African Airways executives later on this morning before we take off at around 8 a.m. The first flight will be taking off to Cape Town International Airport. International flights will be going out to Accra, Kinshasa, Harare, Maputo, into the African countries. In terms of destinations such as New York, that hasn't been clarified on when those will be taking off. And then in terms of London, as we do know, South Africa is still on the red list for the United Kingdom. So on that front, we are still going to be waiting. Ayanda.
All right, Ahmed Kajee, I know you're going to be in one of those aircraft in a short while. We'll touch base with you in the lead up to that, without a doubt, throughout the course of the morning. Ahmed Kajee, live to us there from Tambo International Airport, with SAA taking to the skies once again after being grounded for 18 months.